Purina believes no one should have to make the impossible choice between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Through the Purple Leash Project, Purina is helping create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to learn more.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Contentful. Marketers, you know that feeling when your creative clicks? When that social post sends engagement through the roof? When your outside-of-the-box campaign hits ROI positive? When a personalized homepage turns prospects into customers? It's utter marketing bliss. Contentful helps you create tailored omni-channel experiences without working overtime. No stress, no limits, only possibilities. Get the feels at Contentful.com.
Big news. Sephora is now on Uber Eats. So if you find yourself facing a beauty emergency, like needing a last-minute gift, or you're just out of your favorite mascara, again, don't panic. We got you. Order now and get $10 off on Sephora orders of $50 or more on the Uber Eats app. Order now. Offer ends October 30th. One order per customer. Additional terms apply. See app for availability. Delivery fees may apply.
Experience a membership that backs what you're building with American Express Business Platinum. Unlock over $3,500 in business and travel value annually with statement credits on select purchases from brands like Dell, Hilton, and Adobe, and other benefits. American Express Business Platinum. There's nothing like it. Based on total potential value of statement credits on select purchases and other benefits, enrollments required, monthly and other limits and terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum.
Is it time to bring Max Cross back onto the show?
Who's Max Cross?
He's the MVP tracker.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember him now.
Yeah. He's the guy who figured out that we don't have to wait for the announcements. We can actually go through all the tape, all the film, break it down into the lab, and he tracked all of the award votes that were out there on the internet, far and wide. Fine-tooth comb for most improved, Sixth Man of the Year, Coach of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and he's gotten them all right. And I'm a little confused by this. Why haven't we had the MVP trophy yet?
So I did radio with Zach last week, and he brought this to my attention. He said, this is the latest MVP announcement we've had since 1998, which is a long-ass time. Back in the 90s, I remember they used to give out the MVP trophy routinely during the conference finals. Matter of fact, one of the most famous stories in NBA history is 1995 Spurs versus Rockets Western Conference Finals, 4-game 1. David Robinson gets the MVP trophy, and according to Kenny Smith, they're sitting there on the bench watching this presentation happening before the game starts, and Hakeem says something to the effect of, "That's my trophy." And then he goes out and absolutely demolishes Robinson. It's one of the most famous highlights, the up and then up and then up. Robinson jumps 3 times and Hakeem finishes. That was the backdrop to that. And so past 98, again, they started giving it in the second round, right? So I was wondering whether that was to insulate against an MVP who would be eliminated, because we know in 99 we got a 1 seed that lost in the Miami Heat. I don't know why it's been sped up. It's been sped up. We know that for a fact, that in the 21st century, the trophy goes out a lot earlier until this year. And we thought it was going to come out for sure, either game 1 or game 2. That didn't happen. So, that means Jokic won it. So game 3 or game 4, it didn't come out. And then at that point, I can't believe they would schedule it for a game that we don't even know is going to happen. Well, I guess they knew 5 and 6 were going to happen after 4, but I could not imagine why they're holding it this long, especially because we know it's been tallied. They know who the winner is.
Yeah, Max Crows knows.
What does Max Crows say?
Jay won by a pretty comfortable margin. And shout out to Max Crows, who last showed up on our podcast April 2023 on the Everybody Hates Rudy episode, because everybody still hates Rudy. That hasn't changed. he's still tracking the MVP. He's tracking all the awards, and he has Shai Gilgeous-Alexander winning.
Wait, hold on. Put a pause on that. His X username is Crossfire?
You really don't remember this?
I don't remember this.
Deja vu, man. Max Cross is his name. Crossfire.
But it's spelled Crows.
Spelled Crows. Croes.
Right, but you just said Crows. You fucked it up. I didn't fuck it up, okay?
Okay.
Max Cross has it at 32 for Shai, 15 for Jokic. The total points difference is 397 to 283. Giannis at third with 114. Shai has as many points as Jokic and Antetokounmpo combined. So I am willing to say we can call it's for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. However, why are we waiting for it? It would have been great theater in Game 7 at Oklahoma City to have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander accept the MVP trophy, and then maybe Jokic would have had more than 9 field goal attempts.
Or Game 1, or Game 2, or Game 5. We had ample opportunity to do this. It wasn't like there was a bunch of shit happening in the news, because everything else other than the All-NBA and all defensive teams have been named, right? We know who Rookie of the Year is. We know who the Coach of the Year is. We know who the Sixth Man of the Year is. We know the Defensive Player of the Year.
We're going to get the all-rookie team before we get the MVP.
We got the rest of the singular awards 2 weeks ago.
And how often do the two leading MVP candidates play
against each other
in a second-round series?
Man.
How often do you have the opportunity to give the MVP the trophy while the guy who got second is watching him get the trophy?
Let me take this up a notch, another notch. Can you imagine the immense risk they took? What if the Thunder had lost that Game 7? Now you're giving a trophy at a goddamn press conference?
I mean, what a third eye closed thought. Oh, what if the MVP got eliminated before he got the trophy? Oh no.
My Vidians.
Might I remind you, Scott Foster was on Game 7. Okay. The highest tenured referee.
Scott Foster looking at his watch said, we'll give it to him next round.
So does this mean that Ernst & Young has a problem on its hands? Maybe there's a miscalculation that they're trying to retabulate. There's a recount.
You think they counted it wrong? They keep counting it over and over again?
I didn't have a vote, so I can't attest to whether they've asked for the ballot again. We probably would have found that out by now.
Tom, spoiler, there are no hanging chads anymore. It's all electronic.
But the fact that a week ago, Zach Harper did the research, graphic design is his passion. I don't know if you guys know this, on the Bounce newsletter for The Athletic.
It's a great graphic.
Because he didn't make it.
Straight up bar graph. But yeah, you can see clearly 1996 was the last time it got past May 20th. And before that, it happened every year, basically.
Right.
1992 was a little earlier, but other than that, they used to give out the award after May 20th. We haven't even gone past the 11th since the year 2007. What is going on? This is very fishy to me.
Yeah.
The fact that we were talking about this as a collective last week, and now here we are another week later, another round into the playoffs, still nothing. And we all know who it's going to be. What's going on?
I don't know. This is so weird. It is so strange that they could not get this done by the Nuggets series.
I don't understand the motivation. My third eye is looking around like Will Smith moving out of the house. Why'd we wait? What's going on?
My assignment: uncover why the association inspires more conspiracy theories in volume and salience than any other U.S. sport.
You've heard of the Illuminati.
The truth is out there, but so are lies.
Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them.
The NBA has always been controlled by about 8 people.
Denial is the most predictable of all human responses.
If you're only using 10% of your brain, you don't even know that you're using 10% of your brain.
The NBA Illuminati.
If coincidences are just coincidences, why do they feel so contrived?
The Illuminati.
But you start to follow the money, and you don't know where the f*** it's going to take you.
It is unspoken. They have influence among other players.
The NBA Illuminati.
I don't have time for your convenient ignorance.
Maybe I'm a conspiracist now as well.
That's all it took. Oh, we got books, we got schools. You saw a video on YouTube.
Why my eyes, sir? You've never used them before.
We are the Basketball Illuminati.
This is Basketball Illuminati. I am Tom Haberstroh, and as always, I am joined by the 5-star Illuminati generals, Amin Elhassan, producer Anthony Mays. Keep your third eye open.
Members of the Illumination can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/countthedings. You can also show your support by wearing a third eye hat or a basketball Illuminati shirt or hoodie. Check out the link in the show notes or go to the Count the Ding store on Cotton Bureau and keep that third eye open.
We've got an incredible interview with C2_Cooper coming up. Truth teller Caitlin Cooper joining us from Basketball She Wrote, covers the Indiana Pacers as good as anybody on the planet. And now she's going to join us again to break down this series.
Repeat offender.
We're going to go back into the archives, talk about the last hit that she did on this show and what an amazing call out she made, a prediction. So she is a true teller of true tellers. Caitlin Cooper joining us soon. But first,
you are listening to The Agenda with Amin Elhassan and Tom Haberstroh.
I mean, you said it, Miz. Seems like something's orchestrating behind the scenes that we don't really know about until it happens, and then it will become clear. Kind of like the fact that the Boston Celtics being eliminated from the postseason ensures, it clinches the fact that we will have a new NBA champion for the 8th straight year, 7th straight year, something like that. It hasn't been done since the Golden State Warriors doing it in 2017 and 2018.
They got Warriors, Raptors, Lakers, Bucks, Warriors, Nuggets, Celtics, and now year 8. We're going to get a new name on that list. Very exciting times.
Parity.
Very exciting times for Parity, yeah.
Yeah, Parity, yeah. Everybody's happy about it. Parity.
Yeah, spread the wealth.
So stupid. It's so stupid.
It's killing our game. But guys, you know, dynasties are good for business. We've said this a million times. Dynasties are good for business. People like the familiarity. Also, dynasties really force you to take a side. Either you think these guys are awesome or you think they're just lucky so-and-sos, right? In the absence of a dynasty, though, you know what the next best thing to have is? A massive media market.
Yeah. Legacy big market teams.
Like the Knicks, right? It's easy to fall on one side of the fence or the other when it comes to the Knicks. Either you're like, oh, it's a nice scrappy team and it's been a while, they deserve it. And also, my uncle is from New York and I always had like a Patrick Ewing doll when I grew up or whatever. Or you're like, fuck those guys and fuck everyone from New York because they're always trying to tell you how things are so much better in New York. Then why do you live here then if things are so much better there than they are here? Everyone in America has that either disdain or that love for New York. And that is what fuels ratings, ladies and gentlemen.
We got to listen to the latest Side Talk video here. Because, boy, they were excited after they beat the Celtics. And it's never going to be the same. It's never going to be bing bong, but we got some gems on this one.
Hey, yo, Tatum, I hope you okay. Slide! We sent him to Cancun. We sent him Diddy with him. Tatum, you're a fucking bitch. I'm a cut Jason Tatum, nigga. I love your baby mom, so she look good. Call the National Guard right now. We not going home. Hey, okay. What you talking about? It's a Boston team party. We smoking that Boston pack. Fuck Boston, nigga. Russian is the king of New York. I love you. Look at this shit. He poured honey in his motherfucking mouth. Boston Clyde, Bumble Clyde. This is insane. This shit look like the Christmas parade. How the fuck did he even get up there? Fuck Dunkin' Donuts. Hey, yo, Dunkin' Donuts. Suck my dick. Knicks fans ain't never had nothing. Celtics on my dick, nigga. Fuck you talking about? Fuck clam chowder. Suck my nick, nigga. Dominican Byway. Jason Tatum. You still sleep with your mother, you bitch ass nigga. Who the fuck is Vegas Piggy? You just suck a New York City hot dog, nigga. Fuck Boston. Yeah.
So that's good. The Knicks, big media market. And let's say they advance to the finals. They'll play another big media market, right, Amin?
Well, that's the problem, right? Because you got on the one hand, that bustling metropolis of Minneapolis, St. Paul.
What's 2 cities in one?
I know, and it still ain't big enough.
Oh.
That's what she said. On the other hand, you have Oklahoma, which has a haunted hotel. I guess it's got that going for it.
And we got Trae Young beef. Did you hear that?
Well,
Trae Young says Oklahoma City Thunder's louder than the Garden.
Look, I don't need anyone else reading off the LeBron. They're not talking enough about me. Let me say so. Shut up. Get out of here. Go back and be better. And then we'll talk about you. No, that's assuming the Knicks make it to the finals.
Yeah, they're not there yet.
What if they don't? If the Pacers make it, we are screwed. Screwed financially. Do you know the only worse scenario for the NBA is if Toronto makes the finals.
Oh, right.
None of those Canadian ratings count.
It reminds me, I think it was 2003 NBA Finals when Jay Adonde tells the story of he was writing for the LA Times, the lead NBA guy.
Yeah.
The LA Times sees the Nets Spurs Finals and says, hey, we're going to send you to New York to cover Roger Clemens for the Yankees.
Oh, wow.
So they pulled him off the NBA Finals to cover baseball.
June baseball. The most exciting month of baseball by far.
To further crystallize this point about what is good for business, they asked David Stern once, obviously you don't have a rooting interest because you're a commissioner, you don't care who wins, but from a business standpoint, Lakers-Celtics has to be the dream matchup, right? And David Stern said, no, the dream matchup is Lakers versus Lakers. I've used that quote so many times. Lakers versus Lakers. That's the dream matchup. But the next level of that dream is if the Knicks are in it.
Knicks versus Knicks.
Knicks versus Knicks, which the Timberwolves, they a little bit call themselves Knicks versus Knicks.
It's fun for the win-win of the trade.
Yep.
Julius Randle and Dante coming back to New York to square off against Karl Anthony Towns. That would be a lot of fun. I mean, I'm excited at the very least that we'll have not just another different champion.
Another one.
But a brand new champion.
Well,
the Knicks haven't won since 1973. That's before my lifetime. They've come close twice, then they've lost.
Nice flex. Okay.
Tom, you were born in 1973. What are you talking about?
Oh, in my lifetime.
He sounded legitimately disappointed.
Yeah, someone younger than you is going to be on the show in a little bit, so why don't you...
Okay, there are a lot of caveats, guys.
The Seattle Supersonics did win a championship, but the Thunder haven't won one. And then the Pacers haven't won an NBA championship.
They've got 3 ABA championships, and that counts. If we're going to count those 2 Knicks championships that happened pre-merger, we're going to count the Pacers 3 championships that also happened pre-merger. Just a reminder, I don't count any championships that happened before a merger. We salute you. Thank you for your service. We put it in a nice little box, and we put that box in the attic, and we never look at it again. And every once in a while, I was like, oh, Grandpa Bill Russell's coming over. Oh, go get his shit from the attic. But Knicks, you have 0 championships in my personal record book. Celtics, you have 5. Sonics have 1. The Thunder don't, though. Because the Thunder are not the Sonics, doesn't matter what. Even though they have their shit in the attic, too. But that shit's going to go to whoever gets the Seattle team. Minnesota, technically, you got 3. But
Los Angeles took them.
And also pre-merger. Nobody gives a fuck. Back in the attic you go.
Back in the attic.
So that's where we're at here. We've got 4 teams, 4 franchises, I should say, that don't have a real NBA championship among them. So it should be cool. You ever seen the trophy when the Knicks won it? Oh, Larry O'Brien.
Is it like a lapel pin?
Oh, my God. It was awful. They had it in the office. It was just sitting there on the counter. Nobody gave a shit.
Like Tom's Emmy back there.
Yeah, I was just going to say. I don't know if you've seen it.
Oh, you mean that?
If you've seen it before. This is an Emmy.
Hello, beautiful.
She looks, lost some weight there. She's a little small. Tiny little thing. Thought she was a bigger girl. Huh?
All right, Tom, since you're vivaciously young and also haven't seen one of these teams win a championship in your lifetime, what would you like to see the most?
What would I like to see the most? I would like to see the Knicks Timberwolves. That would be really fun. The Karl Anthony Towns trade. Has there ever been a trade bigger than that happened in the previous 12 months?
Worked out for everyone?
Happens that quickly, that big, and you had both teams facing each other. That is an interesting... Have trade partners ever faced off in the NBA? I've got to imagine they have, but for players that are multi-all-stars, I can't imagine we've ever had that in the same year.
Oh, well, how could you ever forget about when Torrey Craig got sent to the Phoenix Suns?
Suns from Milwaukee, yeah.
Did you just pull that one out of your ass?
No, I pulled that out of Reddit.
Anderson Varejao wasn't traded, but he was waived by the Cavaliers and then signed by the Warriors. So I don't know if that counts.
Here's the thing. The parity thing bothers me.
It should.
The idea that the parity thing is because of some Adam Silver CBA rule that has suppressed
Second Apron
is success story, all this stuff. It's because of injuries, man.
Oh.
We can't do victory laps over Jason Tatum getting hurt. Or a few years ago, Klay Thompson getting hurt and Kevin Durant getting hurt with the 2019 Raptors series. We can't keep doing this where it's like, it's parity, yay, when it's really just Star players are getting hurt more in the postseason, and it's swinging the title odds in wild fluctuations. And that's the reason. On top of that, 3-point shooting. The fact that 3-point shooting, the high variance of 3-point shooting has taken over the sport. We're now seeing crazier outcomes than the low variance outcomes of 2-point baskets at the rim.
Counterpoint, Aaron Gordon seems to think it's because we don't get enough rest. We need 2 days between games, not just 1 day.
That was awesome, though.
Well, that would solve Tom Injury's problem.
Yeah, there you go.
He played pretty well.
Well, for the first 12, 13 minutes of that game, sure.
And that would also fix the MVP trophy announcement.
Yeah, we'd have more days.
Because then it would still be happening in the second round if we had more days off in between games.
We'd also have a 10.5-month season, which I'm very much looking forward to.
Even better. That'd be as happy about that. More people talking about it for longer.
You get to talk about this lawsuit at any point?
Lawsuit? Whoa. Did something happen? Are we okay?
Yeah. Talk about the Suns lawsuit? No?
Oh, the Suns lawsuit.
Yeah.
Wait, which Suns lawsuit are we talking about here? Because there have been so many, dude.
It's a new one. I went to the website and I read the entire filing on it. And I got to tell you, I'm confused. There's a lot in there. Some of it is pretty damning. Some of it is really weirdly vague.
Is the stuff under the Ishbia ownership?
Yes, this is Ishbia stuff. Because apparently, a lot of the things that Matt Ishbia and the new kind of regime did was, according to this lawsuit, pretty performative.
No.
They had no intentions of actually changing things, and they just wanted good optics.
No way.
One of the things alleged in there is that they failed 3 separate blind inspections. For 2 of them, it was law enforcement. One of them was the NBA conducts this, where they send someone undercover to try to sneak into the arena with contraband. Every single time, those 3 inspections, someone snuck in. Twice it was with knives, and once with 2 handguns. People got in with handguns on a game day through regular entrance with the security arches and all that. There was retaliation, allegedly, according to this lawsuit, where the guy who was in charge of arena safety and security was answering to someone who does not have a history in security. And second of all, when presenting his findings of like, these are some huge red flag liability risks, it pretty much was looked at as a liability for the company and was retaliated against, was demoted, and was threatened with termination. He was also a cancer survivor, wanted to take some time off because, cancer, and was basically made to feel like he would lose his job if he took time off. And then the biggest kicker in this entire story, and trust me, I do not want to bring it up, were it not in the legal documents, that allegedly the CEO of the Suns, Josh Bartelstein, who you'll remember from a previous episode of Basketball Illuminati, had himself an in-workplace affair, allegedly, with former Phoenix Mercury player Sophie Cunningham. At the time, she was a current player, and she was doing Suns broadcasts. And this came out because, and I quote from the legal document, when Bartelstein asked plaintiff to reveal what Craig was saying, Craig is the employee, plaintiff explained that Craig had been telling others, quote, Josh Bartelstein is fucking Sophie Cunningham, unquote. Plaintiff also told Bartelstein that Craig had remarked, your health issues are self-induced.
Ooh. Oh boy.
There's a lot in this thing. Now, the Suns, for their part, have called these allegations delusional and categorically false, and they point to the fact that the attorney on the case has been disciplined by the Supreme Court of Arizona 2 times for committing numerous violations of the rules of professional conduct and is currently serving a 2-year probation with the State Bar of Arizona, which is true. I then went to go look at those documents.
Wow.
This is also corroborated by Front Office Sports. And what I found is that she was disciplined for offenses such as not submitting a timely court-ordered document, responding to a client's request for information too slowly, and failing to keep them adequately appraised. Not the best professionalism, but also not the sort of thing that would discredit the very serious claims of racism, retaliation. There's an ADA violation there with the whole cancer thing. And of course, again, your CEO is fucking one of the players. When you add all that up, allegations, you can't, in your dismissal, say, yeah, this person's a piece of shit. Look, they're on probation. Because what they're on probation for is not for being a piece of shit. It's just not being punctual, timely. So A lot there. Obviously, I don't know what's true and what's not true. I just think it's fascinating that we have a situation that I don't think has existed before. Where you got a team exec banging one of the players?
Okay. Allegedly.
The attorney who represents all of the plaintiffs, Cherie D. Wright of the IBF Law Group, had a quote where she said, "When organizations are unable to disprove the truth, they often attack the truth teller." That's exactly what's happening here.
Well, on that note, let's get to our truth teller. Caitlin Cooper of Basketball She Wrote, joining us. Basketball Illuminati.
Hello, listener. It's Producer Maze here to talk to you about Quince and their cookware. Cooler nights mean cozy meals at home, and Quince's cookware has made fall cooking so much more enjoyable. Their pieces deliver the quality and performance of luxury brands, but at a price that makes sense. And they look gorgeous on the stovetop, too. No matter what item you need to complete your kitchen, Quince has you covered with 5-ply stainless steel pots and pans, nonstick skillets, chef-quality knives, and even ceramic bakeware, which is perfect for cozy casseroles or Sunday roasts. And when you look at these prices, you might think, how is Quince doing this? How do they deliver high-quality items similar to high-end brands that are half the price? Well, let me tell you, they partner directly with ethical top-tier factories to cut out the middlemen and pass the savings on to you. And it's not just cookware. I got myself some bath sheets. That's right. When you're a tall man, you have to use bath sheets, not bath towels from Quince. It's like drying off with the cloud. It's incredible. Upgrade your kitchen for cozy fall meals with premium cookware from Quince. Go to quince.com/dings for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/dings, DINGS, to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/dings.
Listener, listen up. This is important, okay? I'm going to try to save you some money here. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. You may think like, oh, that's bad. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. Here's why I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for $15 a month. You heard that correctly. $15 per month. Ditch overpriced wireless and the jaw-dropping monthly bills. And of course, there are all these hidden fees and stuff, but at Mint Mobile, plans start at $15 per month. All the plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text. You're not doing like weekend and nighttime minutes or anything like that. And it's delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone. Don't have to get a new phone. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all of your existing contacts. I switched months ago. People have asked, did you actually switch? Yes, I actually switched months ago, and I don't know what to do with all this extra money. I've cheated the system here. I've rigged something. This is an Ocean's 11 situation where I'm stealing wireless from Mint. That's how good a deal it is. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/dings. That's DINGS. That's mintmobile.com/dings. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 per month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
Hello, listener. It's Producer Maze here to talk to you about Kindred. Now, close your eyes like Owen Wilson during a job interview and imagine a way to travel that feels personal, comfortable, and connected without the price tags and the sterile feelings of hotels or short-term rentals. Now open your eyes and stop using your imagination because Kindred has made it very real. That's exactly what they do. Kindred is a members-only home swapping network. It's not a hotel. It's not a short-term rental. It's a smarter way to travel where each stay feels like home. Here's how it works. With Kindred, your home is your ticket. You earn credits by hosting fellow Kindred members, and then you use those credits to stay in over 220,000 homes in more than 100 cities worldwide. There are no hotel costs or rental fees, just the credits that you've earned. Every stay comes with white glove service, 24/7 trip support, and $100,000 in host protection. Make it easier for you to travel and enjoy yourself and not worry about details. I've used Kindred and I found an amazing home for a weekend getaway. in an idyllic location with amazing views and great ambiance. It had everything I needed. And the best part was, it cost me $0. So apply now at livekindred.com and use code DINGS to join for free. Plus, you'll earn 5 nights of travel credit just for signing up. That's right, that's 5 whole nights for free at livekindred, KINDRED.com, code DINGS, DINGS, livekindred.com, code DINGS.
It's the Smucker's Uncrustables podcast with your host, Uncrustables. Okay, today's guest is rough around the edges. Please welcome Crust.
Thanks for having me.
Today's topic, he's round with soft, pillowy bread.
Hey.
Filled with delicious PB&J.
Are you talking about yourself?
And you can take him anywhere.
Why'd you invite?
And we are out of time.
Are you really cutting me off?
Uncrustables are the best part of the sandwich. Sorry, Crust.
Learning through play starts with Lego Duplo. With Lego Duplo, toddlers can develop real-life skills while having fun with colorful bricks made just for them. Large, easy to grip, and safe to explore. When children express themselves with Lego Duplo, they build patience, problem-solving, and empathy. See your child learn perseverance and self-expression with everything they imagine and create. Visit lego.com/preschool to learn more.
You all think I'm late. Well, I'm not late. And I'm going to stay right here and fight for this lost cause, even if this room gets filled with lies like these. And the Taylors and all their armies come marching into this place. Somebody will listen to me.
There's no better way to overpower a trickle of doubt than with a flood of naked truth.
But the complexity and the gray lie not in the truth, but what you do with the truth once you have it.
What is true and right is true and right for all.
You and I both know that that's just not the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Too messy. Keeps them up nights.
I'm here because in the end, the truth is worth the risk.
Speak a little truth and people lose their minds.
I'm a grown man, you can tell me the truth.
Why is it people who want the truth never believe it when they hear it?
So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do something really outrageous. I'm going to tell the truth.
All right, we're joined now by creator of Basketball She Wrote, a returnee. Welcome back to Basketball Illuminati, Caitlin Cooper. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me. I was actually thinking before I hopped on here that the last time I was on this show was when the Pacers were in the middle of kind of trading off their entire roster. And both of you asked me, like, if the Pacers trade Sabonis, what would you be hoping they get back in return? And I said, they're going to need a top-tier point guard. And as it turns out,
wow,
that's what they got, and that's what they needed.
And that is an incredible shot. Nice job by you, Caitlin. I speaking of calls, you just said on social media, you just posted about 56 minutes ago. Somehow Pacers Knicks is already exhausting and it hasn't even started yet. So let's talk about Pacers Knicks. I'm sorry, but you know, this is how we do it in the media, where this has been a long layoff between the series. So why is it so exhausting for you, Caitlin?
Somehow we're already preemptively talking about referees and whether this series will be rigged on one hand, and on the other hand, we're also retroactively debating whether the Pacers legitimately won the series last year, whether they legitimately have advanced this year, how much the injuries have impacted them. And I'm like, to me, this isn't the same Knicks team as last year. This isn't the same Pacers team as last year. I don't know that I find that all that relevant. But hey.
What's the biggest difference between the Pacers last year and the Pacers this year?
Midway through the season, after they lost all of their in-season tournament games, and a complete opposite from the year before when they were the darlings of the in-season tournament, right. They had 4 days of practice off. And those 4 days, I think, were pretty crucial to turning their season around. And they also got all of their roster back healthy, and specifically their point of attack defenders. Andrew Nembhard was no longer on a minutes restriction. He's their most important guy on the defensive end. So I think the biggest difference for this Pacer team is the strides that they made defensively, and that since that date, they've been top 8 offense and defense.
Do you like, Caitlin, that you guys are you're covering a team that are now in the Eastern Conference Finals again, where the underdog label where the national media hasn't been on top of the Indiana Pacers rise, do you find that the fan base is like kind of annoyed with the lack of national media this season and want to continue being the underdog? Or do they want to be considered like championship contenders with the rest of the NBA? Like they want to be in that top tier title contention, or do they want to continue to be doubted? Like, what's your sense on the Indiana Pacers fan base?
I mean, it's probably somewhat a mixed bag. I mean, I know that the tweet went around where every expert was wrong on the picks for both the Pacers series and the Knicks series, and that certainly got publicized. Oh, these are the experts, quote unquote. I'm like, well, that's why we play the games, because none of us really knows what's going to happen. But I think that the Pacer fan base over the years, every time that they've been in the Eastern Conference Finals, prefers going back to the two back-to-backs against Miami to now, likes it when they're overlooked and when they get to prove people wrong. Kind of like Tyrese going to the podium. It's kind of an extension of that, overrate that. I think that kind of fits with the Pacers fan base vibe as well.
Why do you think Tyrese Haliburton is so underrated or considered overrated by the players?
The word is polarizing, Tom. Why is he so polarizing?
I think there's a number of reasons, probably. I think that some of the fan bases, what gets thrown out there a lot is about being a front runner, which is kind of funny because he's almost ultimately elite at snatching victory out of the jaws of defeat when you really think about it. Like, there's not a lot of front running going on when you're down 7 and you come back in 40 seconds twice in the same playoff run. But I also think, like, something that I point out a lot is that he's almost kind of a basketball counterculture in a lot of ways. His shot doesn't look the way that it's supposed to. I did a whole breakdown several years ago about the effectiveness of when he jumps, when he passes. We're told not to do that. He can sometimes be like negative space in art. He doesn't take a lot of shots, and then people be like, that's not what a star's supposed to do. How is this working effectively for the Indiana Pacers? And so because there are some of those kind of preconceived ideas about basketball in general, and he beats against those, when it ends up in the other way, there ends up being backlash a lot of times because what he does shouldn't work, and yet somehow it does work fairly often for the Pacers.
Caitlin, when you think about what the journey of growth that Rick Carlisle has undergone since first getting Haliburton to now, what's been the biggest, I think, change or area of growth you've seen?
That's a great question, because going back to when I was on the show the last time with that previous core that would have been Malcolm Brogdon, Karis LeVert, Sabonis, Turner, when you watch broadcasts or when you were in the arena, you could hear him doing a lot of pace control and play calling from the sidelines. Like, you could literally hear him at the end of games being like, hold it, wanting to optimize possessions, get people in the right spots, some micromanaging going on. And I remember the very first game that I watched Tyrese play for the Pacers when they played against the Cavs, like 3 things popped where I was like, he wants to play at a very fast pace. Like, he's clapping for inbound passes, even off of makes. He wants to turn the ball downhill. I was like, how's this going to mesh? Because Rick hadn't coached a lot of fast-paced teams. And some of that's because of the type of player that Luka Doncic is versus the type of player that Tyrese Haliburton is. But would he relinquish some of that? And he has. Like, I mean, he unlocked it. He helped them build out the type of identity that they had based on the players that they have on the roster. He's adjusted that, and there's a lot less play calling. He prefers not to do it. They want to play random offense as much as possible. So, I mean, I think that's probably the biggest difference that I've noticed just tactically from him.
Yeah, what is it about Tyrese Haliburton that makes him such a good clutch performer, in your opinion? Because Dean Oliver just posted that he is the second best clutch performer regular season plus postseason this year. And for a guy who has gotten a lot of hate for his play and for his antics or whatever, most overrated player in the league allegedly, to come up big in those big moments, what is it about the way he plays that allows him to rise to that level? And it can't just be just shot making, like he's hit a bunch of lucky shots.
Some of it is shot making, though. I mean, because the one thing that I'll point out is when he was dealing with the hamstring injury last year over the back half of the season, and it was something that he talked about, and it was something that I tracked, that 2 elements of his game kind of changed, because he's somebody as a right-handed shooter who wants to step back to his right. Like, that was his preferred methodology, but he couldn't power off his left leg to do that anymore. So it was impacting his three-point percentage pretty heavily over the second half because he was having to adapt and adjust to that. And to a certain extent, injury was almost the mother of invention for him. Like, he had to adjust. So now when you watched him make that shot against the Cleveland Cavaliers after they got that offensive rebound, which direction did he step back against Jarrett Allen? To his left.
To the left.
Other things too, like he prefers to gather low and squirt through the help. Like that's what he would do when he was trying to beat it. You can't do that when you can't lunge deep into that hamstring. So now when he's defended by smaller guards and he's being face guarded, he had to adapt to what type of gathers he had. So now it's, he'll do a windmill to get over the top of smaller guards. Like certain things, the injury almost made him a better player despite how much he struggled over the back half of that season. So to an extent, like it is boring, but some of it is shot making and his shot making versatility that he's able to get to in those moments that he wasn't having access to as much prior to when that happened.
He's probably going to see Mikal Bridges a lot in the opening matchups. How's he done against Bridges this season?
The first game, it was rough. I think he had a total of 4 drives against the New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden, but he did not remotely look like himself by my eye. I think in tandem, when he had the 30-point game at home in the fourth quarter, the pick and roll coverages between Bridges and Karl-Anthony Towns were quite poor. Mathurin, Halliburton, and Turner combined for almost 100 points, just the 3 of them. And they were moving Karl-Anthony Towns around a lot. It's like, okay, well, Miles Turner's made 2 threes in a row now out of the pick and pop, so let's go put him on Siakam. And the Pacers are very they're magnanimous in that the players in that starting lineup are very willing to be like, oh, this is a good matchup for you. I'm going to go get out of the way. So Miles Turner's like, I'll just go space in the strong side corner. They start screening with Pascal Siakam instead. Like sometimes they might have 20 screens from Pascal Siakam in a game. He might lead them in that, and then Karl-Anthony Towns was having to guard in that spot as well. So I honestly think it might have a little bit more to do with what pick and roll coverages the Knicks employ. Obviously, they went to a lot more switching against the Celtics than what they were doing in the regular season. I still think switch is probably the best method against the Pacers, even though they've improved at that in the playoffs through to this point. But I think a lot more of it's probably going to depend on Towns even more so than Bridges.
We saw in the Denver series how Alex Caruso kind of changed Game 7 by being a guarding Nikola Jokic. Who do you see guarding Karl-Anthony Towns? Because Jason Tatum was the primary guarder for much of that series against Boston. Do you see a similar, not necessarily a guard defending Karl-Anthony Towns, but trying to go smaller?
Yeah, that's what I wrote my whole series preview about, because I think that's quite possibly the most interesting point of this series, because in the 3 regular season games, the Pacers were the rare team that unilaterally defended him with a center. It was all Miles Turner, Isaiah Jackson, Thomas Bryant, or Obi Toppin when Obi Toppin was at the 5, which isn't what most teams do. As you just said, it's usually a wing on Karl-Anthony Towns. I won't be surprised if the Pacers start that way, because they might value being able to put Tyrese Halliburton on Josh Hart, which is who they've particularly had there. Although, as I just said, that last season's matchup doesn't matter. It does in this extent, because they adjusted midway through the series and put Nesmith onto Brunson, which mattered, but it mattered more so because Siakam and Andrew Nembhard were helping off of Achua and Josh Hart, which allowed Nesmith to press closer to Jalen Brunson. Those same guardrails aren't necessarily going to be there when the Knicks are playing more of a 5-out lineup, especially if you're putting Tyrese on Josh Hart. So I can see my way through the middle of the series when you're asking who it would be, that my eye is on Aaron Nesmith. Nesmith started at the 4 for the Pacers a couple years ago. There's a reason why he no longer starts at the 4 for the Pacers. But I do think that they have that in their back pocket, where I really like the idea of Nembhard pressures the ball in the backcourt, which he's one of the best pressure guards in the NBA. Then you're avoiding foul trouble with Nesmith in the backcourt. When the screen comes from Karl-Anthony Towns, the longer defender, Nesmith, switches back onto Brunson. Miles is on Josh Hart, scrams out Nembhard from Karl-Anthony Towns. Nembhard goes to the corner against Hart. And more so than anything, in the numbers that I looked at and had access to, like most of the time when a wing is on Karl-Anthony Towns, he's not as involved in the offense. Like it's almost a preemptive check on him, because more often the Knicks are like, we're going to run pick and roll between Brunson and Hart because we still want to get the 5-man in the action. Cats averaged 30 and 12 against the Pacers during the regular season. If they can just get him fewer touches, to me, that's a win for them. So I think that the cross match makes sense, but we'll see if they're willing to do that right out of the gate, game 1. And I don't like it as much with Pascal Siakam. I'm sure people are listening to this and being like, why wouldn't you do it with Pascal? He has even more length and he could probably guard Towns a little bit better. Siakam can have some trouble with screen navigation. So if he has to switch out onto Jalen Brunson and the Knicks are like, hey, we'll just bring Bridges, and now Tyrese is the screener defender of Bridges, and now we got inverted pick and roll, that could get dicey quick for the Pacers in that regard. So I like it a little bit better with Nesmith.
You mentioned Andrew Nembhard. How do you explain what happens to this guy in the postseason, particularly the shooting? A tough defensive player. That's kind of his deal. He's a smart player. He's a high IQ player. But it's like when someone shot sub 30% for the span of how many of the 82 he played, and then you're like 50% in the playoffs. That's got to be frustrating for an opposing defense. Like, what's happening here?
It's kind of wild because last year I thought it was possible that there would be some playoff progression simply because he had the kidney stone at the beginning of training camp. Then he hyperextended his knee. Then he had a back issue, and I could see spots where that was affecting him. And I thought with the amount of work that they talked about, that Jenny Busick and his trainer went into simplifying his shot mechanics, I'm like, this might come around a little bit in the playoffs. But the fact that there was like the regression during the regular season, and now it's not even just that he's knocking down like open catch and shoots off Tyrese's gravity. Like his pull-up volume is up to over 2 a game, and he's shooting like 50% on those. Yeah. I mean, I think number 1, 2, and 3 on jump shots and effective field goal percentage in these playoffs is Nesmith, Turner, and Nembhard right now. So Nembhard's a little bit harder to explain. Like, I don't really know how you just all of a sudden develop a pull-up 3 when you really barely even attempted any of those during the regular season. I mean, I think he's an extremely valuable player. I would value him even if the shooting wasn't there, and the Pacers are clever with him at times too, where they'll put him in the dunker spot. They like inverted spacing where they'll put Turner in the strong side, but certainly that's been a massive development, especially with how much he's been running pick and roll when you think about it. Because like in the Cavs series, he ran more pick and roll than Tyrese did. Like they really preferred running 4-on-4 with how much Tyrese was getting face guarded. So the fact that he can hit that pull-up 3 and he's not seeing as many unders, it matters.
He had more assists than Tyrese in that series, and he had a similar number of turnovers, like very low. Mm-hmm. Is that more Nembhard, or is that the system that Carlisle runs that both Tyrese and Nembhard can be so good at creating shots for others without coughing up the ball?
Yeah, Tyrese I've turned him as the immaculate exception. I don't know how somebody has such difficult pass difficulty and barely turns over the ball while playing at breakneck speed. It's really boggling to me. With regard to Nembhard, I mean, I think that Nembhard's been a little bit underrated just as a pick and roll operator in general, and the shootings opened that up a little bit more because you're able to see his passing come to life. And he and Miles were one of the top pick and roll combinations in the NBA so far in the playoffs by the middle of that series. But I think a lot of it goes back to what I said, like, when I talk about Tyrese being like negative space and art, when he can stand on the logo and Okoro or Max Strus is face guarding him and not even paying attention to what the other 4 people are doing, playing 4-on-4 with that much extra space makes it easier to run the pick and roll and be picking up those assists. So like I said, they're very magnanimous in terms of Tyrese is okay with, I don't have to be the person taking tons of shots, and I can wait to the second half and I can become a screener and I can get loose in other ways, and let's establish this first. So I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, the crazy thing is what Tyrese's shooting is the one that suffers, or has suffered, I should say, during this postseason. What's that? What do you attribute that to? And is that something that's correctable, or is it just a factor of volume and the intensity of the playoffs?
I mean, it definitely came around in Game 6 against the Cavs. That was good to see. Yeah. His shot flurry is kind of what ended up turning that game. But it is funny because they do have the top 3-point percentage in the playoffs, and I think he has the lowest among the starters right now. Mm-hmm. I think the other 4 are all close to 40, and he's at 33. So some of that might be the exaggerated coverage, and it also might be that teams know that there's incentives to weak him left a lot. And while he has adjusted and is willing to step back to his left, that, again, isn't his natural preferred movement pattern, and teams are forcing him left actively in these playoffs, so that could be part of it. I haven't looked at the exact numbers to see where the drop off has been completely.
I did some research here, and I should have shared this with Amin because I feel like he just preempted me, but I'm going to do it anyway. There are 157 active players, Caitlin, who have played at least 5,000 regular season minutes and at least 750 minutes in the postseason. 5,750. The threshold gets guys like Christian Brown and Gabe Vincent in there, just to give you an idea of what level of player we're talking here. Of those 157 active players, which player raised their career win shares per 48 minutes the most from regular season to postseason? And Amin already gave the answer. So
Andrew Nembhard?
Andrew Nembhard. Yeah.
That was easy. Who's team?
Yeah, stole my thunder there. Thanks, there. Why does that guy raise his impact in the postseason so much? You're kind of already hit on it, but is it a matter of the regular season, they're not optimizing him as much because it's a long season and maybe they're keeping things kind of just trying to keep guys healthy or what have you, role injuries? Or is there something else about this dude that you've noticed that he's just so much better when the playoffs come?
I mean, there are certainly teams during the regular season, especially at the beginning portion, who are using exaggerated coverages against Tyrese to try to slow the pace down, and that was affecting them. But not every team every night's doing that during the regular season. Every team every night's showing Tyrese exaggerated coverages, so Nembhard, more of the offense is tilting to him, more of the easier reps are tilting to him to an extent. But defensively, he's not going to be named to an all-defensive team because he's not eligible to be. But I think he's defended at an all-defensive level for the majority of this season. I think he's been their most impactful defender for 2 seasons now. And that probably would have been a little bit of a hot take last year. But if you look at the numbers about how effective he is in contain, and ironically, this is partially why the Brunson assignment isn't as good for him, because he's very good in contain and cutting off drives, but then doesn't always have the length and isn't quite as ambitious as Nesmith as an on-ball defender to be covering up the amount of separation that Brunson creates. But he's very good in that regard. He's also incredibly high feel. So he's the type of person who can apply, 800 pounds of pressure on the ball, but it's the technique that I've talked about and that I've even made a t-shirt about, that he's one of the only players in the NBA that I've ever seen be able to pull the chair on a drive. Like, we talk about pulling the chair in a post-up when it's a static action. He pulls the chair on drives. Like, Donovan Mitchell fell down twice because he anticipates the bump. Like, all these players want to use an off-ball arm. Like, I've seen Shai Gilgeous fall on the ground because Nembhard's anticipating when the bump comes. He pulls back off of it. I've seen Zach LaVine airball layups against him. Like, he's just very high feel and being able to process those types of things, and he's also their best off-ball defender. Like, I won't be surprised if some of the motivation, in addition to Nesmith's size and putting, if Nesmith starts out opposite of Brunson, is because Nembhard's so good, jump switching, anticipating off-ball rotations before they happen. He's very impactful in that regard, too. So I know that there's been a pretty big swing net rating for them defensively, along with Siakam when he's on the floor. So I think it's just all of that coalescing, in addition to I must admit, I can't fully explain why the pull-up shooting has become a thing from three-point range, but all of it has seemed to be working for him all at the same time.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
This episode is presented by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like expecting the leadership of a team captain on the football field, but getting a sea captain. You wouldn't settle for just anything for your team. Shouldn't it be the same for your insurance? So don't settle for just any insurance when you can go with a leader. State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Whether your business has 6 floors or 6 employees, Walmart Business has everything you need to save time, money, and hassle. You can restock your break room with bulk ordering or bulk up your ordering team with shared payments. And you can get it all delivered straight to your business's door, whether that's on Wall Street or Main Street. Walmart Business. It's the Walmart you love, now for your business. Learn more at business.walmart.com.
Are you a forward thinker? Then you need an HR and finance platform that thinks like you do. Workday is the AI platform that helps propel your organization, your workforce, and your industry into the future. Workday, moving business forever forward.
At Starbucks, we've more than doubled parental leave for full and part-time baristas, giving them up to 18 weeks of paid time off, so they can be there for early bedtimes, late nights, first laughs, and spend more time with the best company they know. At Starbucks, benefits like parental leave are just the start. Learn more about Starbucks industry-leading benefits at starbucks.com/partners.
here's some other names on this list, top 5. So just for posterity, Andrew Nemhard, 0.05 win shares per minute per 48 minutes in the regular season, and in the postseason, that basically triples to 0.139. So the percentage difference is 173% increase. Jordan Poole is at number 2. Jordan Poole. Anthony Edwards is at number 3. Jordan Poole is at number 2. And I guess when you look at that 2022 playoff run, the championship run, he was unbelievable.
And also his regular season has been so bad that it makes it even bigger disparity. It's just
that's crazy. Like if I just came out with Jordan Poole, the biggest playoff riser, I'd be like, you can just toss this out. But when Nemhard and Anthony Edwards are at top 3, I would also point out Bruce Brown is at number 5 on that list, former Indiana Pacer, and as well as Jaden McDaniels. So 3 of the top 4 playoff risers are still alive in the postseason. And at the bottom, this is kind of last week we had Roland Beach on the show, Caitlin, and he talked about his physicality rating.
Yeah.
And at he did like a ranking, Caitlin, of the most physical players in the postseason that he has watched over the last couple of years, and the least physical guys. The least physical guy in his Roland Beach physicality per 48-minute rating is D'Angelo Russell. And sure enough, at the bottom of this list, the biggest playoff decliners, D'Angelo Russell. So physicality is, I think, probably indicative of some sort of playoff, I don't know, secret sauce, that if you're willing to be physical, you are going to excel in an environment that is more physical. And on that note, Indiana Pacers, I think, are majority of the time way more physical than the Cleveland Cavaliers and Milwaukee Bucks. So how do you think that plays into this series? I know we already talked about how annoying the referee conversation is, but we saw OKC just bully the Denver Nuggets, who have won a championship and have their core and continuity and have had that postseason experience way over the head of OKC. But they were very physical in Game 7 and ran away with it. How do you think that physicality, the thing that everyone talks about, we pointed this out on the show months ago. What is the physicality rating for Caitlin Cooper in this series? Like, where do you think it's going to be?
I think it manifests itself in different ways for both teams. Because a year ago, the Pacers had more possessions of press in the playoffs than any team in Synergy's database. And they're better at playing press now. So I anticipate that, given that the Knicks have played a 7-man rotation, that they're going to be basically pressuring the heck out of the ball, especially anytime Brunson brings it up. They'll probably do it even if those ball handling reps get sent over to Josh Hart as well. So that is kind of the predominant way that the Pacers are a physical basketball team, is with their willingness to, I mean, there's times, like if you guys watch the games in Paris, Miles Turner was picking up Wemby full court. Like, they will have the bigs up at half court if they need to be. So that's kind of where it manifests for the Pacers. And I'll be interested to see how the Knicks counter for that, because sometimes they're so physical that they'll go overboard with overs on screens at like 3/4 court. So we'll see if, Cat's bringing screens up that high and Brunson's rejecting screens. He and Tyrese reject screens more than about anybody, how that manifests against the Pacers defense. But on the Knicks side, I'm pretty interested to see, almost the most interesting player for them in this series to me is Mitchell Robinson, because of how effective he just was against Boston on the offensive glass. The glass as a whole for the Pacers. And if they're having to send, like I've talked about it many times, the best way to limit the pace for the Pacers is not sending everybody back, which is Doc Rivers' preference for a long, long time now. He doesn't want to send multiple players, sometimes even one player, to the offensive glass if they're not in the paint. If you can send multiples and they have to stay and box out, then that limits their pace. And also, like, if you're having to send 2 people to crash and smash on Robinson, that opens up offensive rebounding opportunities for other guys on the floor, like Josh Hart, who's probably the best wing offensive rebounder in the NBA. And it also kind of limits what type of coverages you can play. It's much harder to double Jalen Brunson or Karl Anthony Towns if you're not a great defensive rebounding team, because you might give up, offensive rebounds from that coverage. The Pacers do dabble in zone at times. It's much harder to play zone if they feel like they need to, if you're having weaknesses on the offensive glass. So I'm kind of interested to see, like, in that regards with, physicality, Mitchell Robinson, probably one of their most physical players. How does he hang? Like, does the offensive rebounding tilt so in favor of the Knicks that he ends up playing more? Or does the pace tilt so in favor of the Pacers that it makes it harder for the Knicks to potentially play some of the double big lineups that have been successful for them in the playoffs?
Yeah, Caitlin, because during the playoffs, the Pacers, I think, are the second worst team in terms of giving up points off of offensive rebounds. During the regular season, it was nothing to write home about either. They were bottom half of the league there as well. And Mitchell Robinson, Coach Mazzulla was talking about this guy was the difference maker, and they tried to employ the hacker shack to get him off the floor because they just felt like that gave him a better chance. Do you see the Pacers doing the same thing, trying to get him off the floor, or is it the opposite? Like you said, when you send two to the glass, or when you're sending to the glass, that opens up opportunities for the opposite, for the transition play.
I don't think that Rick Carlisle will be above going to Haka. I've seen them employ that against certain opponents. Like when Jakob Poeltl was still in San Antonio, I believe there was a game that he played against the Pacers where he had 17 free throw attempts. So if they're having a really bad rebounding game, I could see them trying to go to it. I guess it would depend what lineups he's out there against, because part of me thinks it would be successful for the Knicks to try to go double big when it's like Obi Toppin and Miles Turner, because that's not going to be their best rebounding lineup necessarily, or especially if they went smaller with Obi at the 5. But then the other part of me is like, well, but could you keep up with them? So I'm really going to be like, that's one of the most fascinating things to me about this series is whether that can play out, especially, that the Knicks are playing a 7-man rotation too. And not only a 7-man rotation, but I would like to see the data on this, because it seems to me like it's not rapid substitutions with the 7-man rotation either. Like sometimes the groups that are out there for very extended periods all at the same time before they're bringing a sub. So it's not like it's constantly 2 people in, 2 people out to be able to maintain fresh legs. So I'm very confident that 2 things from Rick Carlisle is going to be harping on the rebounding nonstop. This is a team that's been known to do rebounding drills at practice because it's enough of a weakness for them at times, which is kind of unheard of. And then also like pace. I'm sure you're going to be hearing that from the sidelines, especially when the bench unit comes in, is going to be, hoping that they can wear on the Knicks by playing deeper, because they have been playing, 10, 11 deep even in the playoffs in some of these games.
What did you learn from the Boston Celtics attack on the New York Knicks? Is there anything you can pull from that series, and what worked with the Celtics and what might be a blueprint or a page out of the book for Rick Carlisle?
I think Game 5 was telling, and this is not me trying to throw dirt on Jason Tatum by any means, but when Tatum wasn't available anymore, the Celtics had to play a little bit more like the Pacers. So the Knicks switched more than they ever have in that series, and that was effective for them through the first 4 games. And then in Game 5, it wasn't as many static isolations. I think there was they cut down from 27 to 19 static isolations, and it was the highest pass volume the Celtics had in any game. And the Knicks, with their switching, they looked like a team that hasn't done a lot of switching. Like when ghost screens were involved, when there were stack actions involved, and it was suddenly, it's a triple switch against the stack action, there was a lot of confusion there. And those are core concepts that the Pacers will go to. Like, they don't like to isolate. They're one of the lower isolation teams in the NBA right now. They're averaging 340 passes per 100. So they're going to look at, if Tyrese gets a switch on the perimeter, they're going to set a ghost screen to try to reignite the offense. They like opening double gaps with ghost screens. That's something that the Knicks are going to have to navigate a lot. So I was almost encouraged by that. Their defense did improve in Game 6 at home. Some of it wasn't quite as bad at Madison Square Garden, but this isn't a team that had a lot of reps practicing those types of things, because it wasn't something that Tom Thibodeau tried a lot during the regular season.
Yeah, that pass number, it's the highest passing per game in the postseason since the 2015 San Antonio Spurs. They lost in the first round, but it was I think a carryover from the summertime 2014 win, where the Spurs, when they are moving the ball like that, it's just beautiful basketball. But a lot of coaches, they have a tough relationship with that pass number, because a lot of times high passing teams aren't necessarily indicative of good offense. Right. Is that you're searching, and before you know it, you're either going to turn the ball over or you're running up against the shot clock. So how are the Pacers so good at maintaining kind of the high efficiency in that half court offense while passing the ball so much and limiting those turnovers? Like, what is it?
I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with their emphasis on how quickly they get into their first action. So I had a possession during the Cavs series where literally the entire possession, Tyrese was standing in the weak side corner being face guarded by Okoro, and he had his hands on his knees, like almost in the universal sign of decoy, or I'm just taking a break here.
Yeah.
And the Pacers ran through 4 different actions with Nembhard as the ball handler, screening actions, and there was still 9 seconds on the shot clock when they got a wide open corner 3 from Obi Toppin. So it's never except sometimes against zone. It's very rarely just like, the quip from Hoosiers, like, you can't shoot until you've taken 4 passes, like the worst strategy of all time. Like, it's not often that. Like, they're usually finding an advantage and maintaining the advantage. They're definitely a team that likes to trigger the extra pass from the corner, and it's generally with a purpose, where they have quite a few high field players that know, like, hey, if this, then this, out of their random offense. So I think it's more so that than, like, I agree with you. Sometimes passing isn't always, a metric for, like, this is a good offensive team. Sometimes it's a we're searching for things type team. The Pacers are usually have a roadmap of where they want to get to.
The most remarkable thing about Benedict Mathurin in his first playoffs is getting ejected for a flagrant 2.
That's true.
Do you think he's going to be more of a factor in this series, or less of a factor, or as much of a non-factor?
Yeah, I mean, I thought Ben had a decent debut, where I felt like the thing with Benedict Mathurin is, when you evaluate him with the Pacers, is he can kind of be a square peg in a round hole in terms of how, like what I just said, how they want to play random and making quick decisions. He can be catch and hold. He still doesn't make very many live dribble passing reads. He typically has to stop, and sometimes he likes to drive to his left, but he can't make a lot of passing reads with his left. So then it's like, have to turn and do it there, and it could be very rote. So, but he is he can access almost any shot he wants on the court, but he's not really doing either one of those things. Like, he's not being, if he's going to be a square peg in a round hole, then he needs to do some of the square peg things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I thought he was good in the third quarter of the one game against the Cavs, where they ended up pulling off the comeback, where I'm not sure if they would have pulled it back if not for some of the minutes that he contributed with the bench. Otherwise, it has been somewhat unremarkable. Like, he hasn't looked particularly mission critical to the stuff that they're doing, especially by comparison to what Nesmith's doing in the starting spot that Ben had through the middle portion of the series. That being said, given that the Knicks are playing, and I know I've said it many times, but because they are playing a 7-man rotation, Ben's had some success, particularly in the second home game, against this matchup. And I think that one thing that bodes well in his favor is I can see scenarios where Brunson with the starters will likely be guarding Nesmith. There's also a possibility that when Ben plays with the starters, he will be guarded by Brunson as well. Because I don't anticipate that Tom Thibodeau is going to be wanting Jalen Brunson to do a ton of screen navigation guarding Andrew Nembhard, given how much Andrew Nembhard is initiating the offense. So if Mathurin's being guarded by Brunson, that actually gives the Pacers a little bit better chance to poke at that and, guard him by forcing him to guard. So that's one aspect that I like with Mathurin in this series. And also, during the middle portion of the year, part of the reason why he was having a somewhat positive impact defensively was because he was so effective as a defensive rebounder. So if they can get him to level up in that regard and be keeping, Josh Hart and some of those other guys off the glass, that will be a help for them as well. But it's been somewhat underwhelming so far to this point with Mathurin, I think.
Caitlin, a lot of history between the Knicks and the Pacers. I'm sure you've seen a lot of clips online just going back into history. What player, former Pacer, I'm curious, in your opinion, what former Pacer would get the loudest applause, like standing ovation?
Really?
I know the obvious answer. I know the obvious answer. But he's going to be on the mic.
Haywood Workman. Yeah, that's what it's going to be.
But besides Reggie, like, is there someone that you're kind of hoping to see from the Pacers history that shows up to this series here and lets the audience kind of bask in the glory of that former player with the Pacers?
I mean, we were joking around about it before the show started, but Lance Stevenson came to a playoff game and signed autographs. Like, the fan base loves Lance Stevenson. I'm telling you, he is a cult hero. And especially because of what he did in that game 6 against the Knicks. Also, like, because of Roy Hibbert getting the massive block on Carmelo Anthony, like, if he showed up there and they showed that highlight, that might have an effect.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that block. That was incredible.
My money was on Derek McKee. He's going to walk in there, him and Dale Ellis.
Where's Rick Smits these days?
Yeah, where is Rick Smits?
Yeah, he comes to a lot of Pacer games.
Okay. So maybe he's already gotten his flowers. What happens if Paul George shows up?
I look more favorably at Paul George, I think, than the majority of the fan base does. I still think he's one of the greatest players to put on a Pacer uniform. But, there was stuff in the middle of the season when he came with the Sixers, and I guess the Pacers that were running some type of montage that had former Pacer greats in it, and he wasn't included. And then he mentioned that on the podcast, and it kind of turned into a thing where then I think the front office reached out to him and let him know that like they would rectify that, which I mean, I guess, but at the same time, it's like, if you have to be called about this, then do you really care in the future if you're included in the video? Like, I don't know.
What's Travis best up to?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you gotta go deep on this. Who else? Who are you most looking forward to seeing if they bring out? Because the Knicks have done a great job of this, just having Knicks legends show up.
You know how like people at protests sometimes are paid to be at the protest. I gotta feel like that's what's happening at Madison Square Garden. There's a little compensation package happening beyond just, hey, you guys want to go to a game? Like, no, there's a little bit more there because I see the excitement. That's not the excitement of, wow, this team is playing really well. That's the, hey man, I'm getting paid to do this. I want these checks to keep coming in. But no, if I were trying to staff a Pacers kind of reunion, Chuck Person definitely got to be one of the people there. I would say. Antonio Davis and Dale Davis.
Yeah.
Let's see. Austin Crozier. He's got to get a call, right? Jalen Rose is available. He was at the Knicks Pistons game. So
but he was on Pistons. I don't know.
He's from Detroit. He's just going to come down. And, who else? I'm trying to think.
J.O.?
I'm missing.
What's J.O. doing?
J.O. is a good one, yeah.
Jermaine O'Neal is my favorite Pacer of all time because I grew up a Pacer fan, and that was the era that I was watching. And, so I also have a connection since Rick's the coach again, and that's who was coaching when the Pacer Piston days were big. But I guess I was kind of more thinking about the players that would have factored more in the actual Knick Pacer rivalry. And that's somewhat of a hole for me because in the 90s when Reggie was part of this, like I was a toddler. So I don't have quite the same connections to those teams. But certainly, like I said, the Roy Hibbert team, George Hill's still very beloved in this area, given that he's from Indiana.
David West?
Yeah, David West is still very well liked in Indiana for everything that he did for those particular teams as well. So those would probably be the guys that I would more so be paying attention to.
Mike Dunleavy Jr. His season's over. He can come on. He can pop on over.
It's wild because I did a piece not that long ago where I looked at the last time Rick coached the Pacers, the 2007 team that Dunleavy was on, because Rick still runs an ATO that he ran clear back then. And it kind of speaks to modern basketball because like you'd be watching Dunleavy like coming off a stagger to hit like a catch and shoot too. And like now like when they're running that exact same play, like the screens are being set so much further from the basket, like the diversity of who will do what within the exact same play. Like sometimes we like the nostalgia problem in the NBA where we're so much like, I want to watch the basketball that was back then. Yeah. You are watching it. It's the exact same choreography. It's just that the spacing and the who's doing what is so much more diverse and optimizing the types of shots that you're getting.
Tom, here's one. Second time in 3 weeks we've mentioned this guy, Troy Murphy.
Yeah.
Little Troy Murphy. Troy Murphy.
He's kind of ahead of his time. Like his defensive rebounding rate with the Pacers and the rate that he was shooting on pick and pops, he would actually be pretty effective now. Just like if Danny Granger was like a power forward or a stretch four now versus playing at the small forward like he did for the Pacers whenever he was active. Like
Troy Murphy didn't shoot enough threes. Should have shot more.
Yeah.
As we look back at it, it's like, oh man, like they had him on a leash. He should have been got a lot more attempts. I like this game.
Detlef? We get a little Detlef, a little Mully?
Mully's a good one, yeah. Mully's a good one. Detlef, I don't know how many people remember Detlef from his Indiana days.
I was thinking Jermaine O'Neal and the Blazers, and then I was like, oh, Detlef with the Blazers.
Like the J.O. team is J.O., Steven Jackson, right? Ron Artest.
Yeah, if they brought back that whole team. Meta.
Jamal Tinsley, Al Harrington. Yep. Who else?
That would get
team?
A crazy applause if they brought back that whole team.
Jeff Foster. Like if Jeff Foster was out here, he'd be gobbling up the offensive
rebound. Scott Pollard, get him out there.
Amin, did you see that clip of I think it was on All the Smoke when Steven Jackson was like, "Hey man, we really I feel bad that we ruined
Reggie,
he was talking to Reggie.
They apologized to
and
Reggie.
And Reggie got all choked up. I was like, yo,
emotional,
someone's cutting onions in here, man. That really hit in the feels. I was like, yo.
That was a lot to handle.
Man.
It is crazy because, that team was built to win. They had a tough one the year before, but like this was it. This was supposed to be the overcoming of Detroit, and they were that team. And Ron was playing great, and they were complete. They were obviously amazing defensively. They played inside, they played outside, and then it's just like in the blink of an eye, everything is destroyed. It's not just, oh man, there goes that season. It's there goes all of it. And then for Reggie, that was his last year. That makes it even more of a it's not even story. There is no tomorrow, in the words of the great Apollo Creed.
A block from Tayshaun Prince and a cup of beer ruined my childhood.
Sorry to laugh. We'll end on that, Caitlin. That's a great dismount.
Jim.
Caitlin Cooper. You can find her on X, C2. What is it? C2. I get. What is that?
C2_Cooper. It's a bad handle. It's redundant, but it is what it is.
C2_Cooper and Basketball She Wrote over on Patreon. Thank you so much, Caitlin. And hopefully no one's throwing any beers or Tayshaun Prince isn't playing. So you don't have to
keep the
worry about
beverages
that.
under control, Madison Square Garden.
That thing that Caitlin mentioned earlier, we were talking about it before the show. Lance Stevenson, he would get a pretty big ovation.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Haynes reporting that Lance Stevenson, the number 1 overall pick for the Big Three, was drafted by the Miami 305. And according to Chris Haynes, Michael Beasley of the Miami 305 is considering a trade request because he is upset by the Lance Stevenson draft pick.
Isn't this team new?
That is a big question here. I have so many questions.
It's a new team. So that means he's requesting a trade before having played a single game for that franchise, number 1. Number 2, I didn't know that the Big Three teams had geography. Are they based out of Miami? Is that just a name? Because all the games are the traveling kind of carnival where every week they're in a different city, which is a kind of cool thing about the Big Three. It makes it a bigger event than just an individual game all around the league. Trilogy and Ghost Ballers and stuff like that. And Three's Company. And now all of a sudden you got Miami 305.
It's new for this year, 8 teams associated with different cities.
The team is Mario Chalmers, Michael Beasley, Reggie Evans, Sean Williams.
Oh.
Boston College Sean Williams is on the Miami 305.
Older brother of Myles Garrett, by the way. My favorite piece of trivia.
Can we get Myles Garrett in the Big Three?
Apparently he's a pretty good hooper.
He is. And then Lance Stevenson, coached by Lakers legend Michael Cooper.
Hall of Famer.
Did Pat Riley call in a favor there?
Tom, I have some more information for you. It appears you might only be using 10% of your brain on this one because June 6th, Michael Beasley versus Lance Stevenson, 1-on-1 event for $100,000.
Yeah.
Couldn't this just be fake beef drumming up promo for the 1-on-1 showdown?
How would you know you're using 10% of your brain if you're only using 10% of your brain?
It's Michael Beasley. You know he's 5 steps ahead.
That is super cool, man. Super cool bees. Let's go. Brilliant. I love it. Third Eye is open.